Episode 59 was with Chloe Lilac.
This one was over the phone. Be sure to check out her new singles, Obvious in Moderation, released through RCA Records. They're amazing. And thank you to Mark for hooking us up with Chloe. We appreciate it.
And check us out on YouTube and Facebook at Bringing It Backwards, and on Instagram and Twitter at bringinbackpod.
Follow us, please.
We're Bringing It Backwards with Chloe Lilac.
Hello.
Hi, Chloe. How are you?
Dude, I'm pretty good. How are you?
I'm pretty good as well.
Yay.
Doing the best I can in this quarantine. How about you?
That's gang. Me too.
Yeah.
I'm figuring it out.
Yeah. Are you in New York?
Man. Yeah, I'm in Brooklyn.
So you're kind of in all of it there, huh?
Yeah, it's like, luckily my neighborhood isn't that impacted. So I live right next to Prospect Park, so I can like bike around and stuff.
Well, that's good.
I was just telling Mark, I can I've just been sending it on the bike. So that's been like my only solace.
Yeah. So I want to talk about your journey in music.
Yeah, man.
And you want to tell me about growing up in Brooklyn? Did you grow up in Brooklyn?
Yeah, boy.
Born and raised, huh?
Yeah, born and raised. Mm-hmm. You know the vibe.
Tell me about growing up in Brooklyn.
Oh, dude, it was fucking crazy. I mean, growing up like as a little kid was pretty, I wasn't like sentient. So I was just like vibing. Like, I don't know, it was just my mom. I grew up in Brooklyn Heights.
Okay.
So I'm lucky. That's like a really nice neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. It was pretty. I went to this private school called Brooklyn Friends, and it was pretty chill. And then I think being a teenager was really being a teenager in New York, when you realize you have so much freedom here, is really what shaped me as a human being.
Sure.
I think.
Because you can just hop on the subway and end up on the other side of the city.
Dude, yeah. And as I was saying earlier, there's this whole New York has this energy to it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really like a city for young people. It's fucking awesome being. Am I allowed to curse?
Yeah, of course.
Is that cool?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Just checking.
Yeah, it's
Dude,
unedited.
It's fucking sick. It's fucking sick as fuck. It's like being a kid here was like, and there's so much like history in this city that I'm just so passionate about. Like, have you read Meet Me in the Bathroom?
I haven't.
I highly recommend that book. It's about kind of like the Strokes era and like MGMT, the Moldy Peaches, like kind of just like all the resurgence of rock and roll in New York City in like the early 2000s. And also it's kind of about the punk movement in the 70s too.
That's awesome.
And yeah, it's such a cool, and it just made me love New York so much more. And that punk attitude, despite all the yuppie people moving here, is still so aggressively here. And it's still so part of New York culture. And I don't know, it's just the kids here, you really have some characters growing up in New York though. Like, you really get a mixed bag here.
Yeah, totally.
It's pretty wild. It's pretty wild. But I'd say I wouldn't give it up for anything. It was fucking amazing. I'm so lucky.
That's so cool. That's awesome. Yeah, it's cool to grow up, especially if you're
Thank
passionate
you.
about music, to grow up in a city that, I mean, there's really nothing really shuts down there, and there's so many clubs and cool places to perform at.
Well, I agree with you, but I also, I'm growing up in a time where like gentrification is just such a big issue here.
Mm-hmm.
So it used to be like that. There used to be all these like really cool like all ages clubs.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was this place where I came up kind of in the DIY scene of New York. I found out about it when I was like 16. I accidentally stumbled into it, and then I like fell in love with it.
Uh-huh.
And how I had this friend group. I'm still friends with all of them. I love them. They all met at this venue called Silent Barn, and it was the last day it was open. There used to be all these like really cool venues. There still are, but like they're not as they're quickly shutting down,
Uh-huh.
which is really sad. But Silent Barn was like a really cool one from what I hear. I've never been, but New York used to be way more of that kind of, like the youth rim and shit. But there, it it was, you know, it was really cool though. Like, especially with the DIY scene, that's kind of how I got into really like performing. Like I did Rockwood and stuff, but, Rockwood is a 21 plus venue.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was, and I was like 15 when I was playing at Rockwood. So it was like none of my friends could come.
Yeah, did you have to just kind of come in and get out?
Yeah, it was just kind of like, it was like they would X out my hands. I'd like be super nervous on stage, and I would be like performing my songs. There'd be like 5 people there. 2 of them like were just there, like getting shit faced at the bar. Like nobody gave a shit. You know, my mom was there. She was like, "Good job." But like that was it. You know, none of my friends could come. Not like I had any friends when I was 15. But if I did, none of them could come anyway.
I'm sure you had friends.
And I had like 2 friends when I was 15. And then I met the DIY scene, and I actually made like a whole group of friends, which was amazing.
That's cool. Tell me about the DIY scene.
Okay, so I work with this guy, Jake, and he has this studio called Slumbo. And I used to work in there all the time. And basically he just let me use it, which was really, really sweet. And like I was friends with some kids from the neighborhood, and they had a band, and so they would like come in and we would jam and stuff. And so Jake kept being like, "Bro, like throw a show in there, like throw a show." And I was like, "Dude, I have like 5 friends. How the fuck am I gonna throw a show? Like no one's gonna come. It's gonna be so lame." And he was like, "No, dude, you just gotta fucking do it." Like, and so I was like, "All right, fine." So I like asked everyone I knew. I was like, "Do you know a band that could play? Do you know a band that could play? Do you know a band?" And finally, my friend Ezra was like, Ezra went to Murrow. And so they were like, "Oh, dude, like, I got this friend who's in this band called the Velvet Black Band," and then they're now known as Big Titties, but they were known as Big Titty and the Big Titties, and which is a fantastic name. I think I wish they hadn't changed it.
That's funny.
But you know, they came, and I opened for them, and I was super nervous because I also like I was one of those kids when I was like 16, like probably like 13 to 16. All of my friends were always older, and so I just like never made any friends my age. And so, like, there I was, like, performing in front of all these kids my age.
Wow.
And, like, I had never met any of them. And it was, like, super small. It was in, like, a music studio. So it was, like, super small. And they were, like, there was so many kids there. Like, so many people. These bands, like, oh, man. Like, I had no idea. Jake was onto some shit. I don't know. I was, like, holy fuck, dude. I was not expecting this turnout.
Yeah.
Like, people were, like, spilling into the hallway and shit.
Wow.
It was crazy. And then these bands start playing, and it was the most accepting atmosphere. Like I went to Brooklyn private school, you know, like I was, first of all, just not acquainted with like civil people. But second, like honestly, but second of all, it was like, you know, it was really this like open, amazing, accepting, artistic atmosphere, and kids that went to like were from all different neighborhoods and all different places, but just had one thing in common, which was like they all just love music and love art. And so these bands start playing, and these kids were just like moshing, and like I had never seen like I'd been to a Fiddler concert once when I was 15, and that was the only time I saw moshing happen.
Yeah, I love Fiddler.
It was dope.
Yeah,
they're fucking sick, dude. I love Fiddler too.
Yeah, we've had them on our podcast before.
I saw that and I was like, literally shook. I was like, yo, I love them. They're so cool.
Yeah, great guys.
That was the only other mosh pit I'd seen. So I saw these kids like all my age and a little younger too, like, and a little older. It's kind of a mixed bag of kids, and like they were all just like enjoying themselves so much, and they seemed so free. And I walked up to this kid, Max, and I was like, yo, and he's the drummer of Big Titty and the Big Titties. And I was like, yo, dude, like, I have no friends my age. Like, will you be my friend? And he was like, yeah, dude. And then we just all started chilling, and like, basically they made me the performer and artist that I am today, because before I was, you know, of course I was making music, and, you know, it was genuine to me, but it was like, I had this like fear kind of holding me back, like this fear of judgment and this fear of like rejection, that these kids were just so uplifting and supportive and really genuinely caring, loving people, and really taught me that music should be fun and like music should be silly and like great, and it can be serious, and that's important too. But like also like there's like so much to be said about just like having fun with your friends at a show, you know?
Yeah, totally.
And those kids are all still like my best friends. Like I love all of them so much. And so they would throw these shows, you know, like I met them in the summer, and that whole summer was like the best summer of my life. Like they would throw these shows out of like the Living Gallery. Like there were a lot of house shows, and they would like let me like open for people, and slowly but surely, like I used to like stand in the middle of the stage and like not be able to move. Like I was so scared, and slowly but surely, like I got more kind of loose and ready to go. And I don't know, it was really just, I don't know. I'm super grateful for them and that experience.
That's amazing.
I'm really lucky.
Yeah. How did you get into music originally?
I mean, okay. So I grew up around, my dad was, you know, my dad's an architect.
Oh, okay.
So he's like not in music at all, but he's really passionate about rock. You know, he worked at CBGB's in the 70s.
Oh, he did?
And he's fucking the coolest guy ever.
Oh, my God.
My dad is so much cooler than me.
So he probably has a bunch of cool stories.
Oh, my God, yeah. He has so many. He, like, you know, he came to New York in 74.
Oh, wow.
He like, really came up in, like, the kind of, like he worshipped Frank Zappa, like, the Talking Heads, like, cool. But he was on that shit before everyone else, you know? Like,
yeah.
You know, my parents are kind of music nerds. I wasn't really allowed to listen to pop music as a kid.
Oh, really?
So, like a little kid.
They just didn't like it?
Yeah, weirdly. They, you know, what was on the radio was like, you know, I don't know. I think it was more of like, my parents were like, we're going to play you Frank Zappa, and that's what you're going to fucking hear. And like Steely Dan and like David Bowie. Oh. And you're going to suck it up and deal with it.
Yeah.
and I was like, all right. And I didn't know anything else. And then I have this cousin in El Cerrito, like the Bay Area, California. Northern
California?
Yeah. I love it. I love it there. I love them so much. We have family over there. So I have an aunt and a cousin, and my grandma's over there too. And so they would, you know, we do like bi-coastal Christmas. So, you know, we would trade off every year.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. My cousin came through with a mixtape that he made for us of like radio hits.
Uh-huh.
And I remember I was like 8 or some shit, and I heard Christina Aguilera's Ain't No Other Man. I will never forget it. Like, like that first note that she hits, like I was like hooked. And then I was like, what the fuck is that? And, you know, the Black Eyed Peas were on that too.
Okay.
I think the early 2000s were like thoroughly like one of the best years for pop.
Yeah.
Because it was just so cool. Like there was so much, you know, like the Black Eyed Peas were considered pop. That's so sick.
Yeah.
Kind of. But they were like on the radio, you know?
Yeah,
like,
when they got Fergie and stuff,
just,
they really crossed over into that pop realm.
I know, man. It was a really cool time to like begin. You know, that's what I kind of started on, and then I, you know, when I was like 11, when I was 8, I got into this band. It was like a Joan Jett kind of like we covered Joan Jett a lot. It was called the Electric French Fries, and it was like with my friend from school, and like I don't know, everyone in my 3rd grade class was like really obsessed with becoming like rock band famous.
Wow.
So like everyone was in a rock band
at 3rd grade.
When I was in 3rd grade.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, which is so like just the most New York kid shit ever. Like just starting like obscenely young at something you know nothing about. Like I don't know. It was fun though. You know, like there were a lot of. I remember seeing my friend in this band called Pie, like when I was in 3rd grade, and being like, I want to fucking do that. And so I learned like how to write a song there
in 3rd grade,
and like started to perform.
Were you
with my like
playing
band?
Did you play an instrument at the time?
Yeah, I played. We all rotated, so I would play every single one. I play like bass, guitar, drums.
Wow.
And piano.
In 3rd grade.
And
so
then,
how did you? Wow. Wait. Okay, hang on. So you knew how to play drums, bass, guitar, and piano by 3rd grade?
I don't know how to now. But in third grade, I could like hold it, you know, like I
Wow.
could like have it together.
That's crazy.
I mean, kids are really fucking cool, dude.
Yeah.
Like humans are crazy capable of doing shit,
Yeah.
especially young. Like it's pretty awesome. Like, and also, you know, my dad was in bands, so he's like a guitar nerd.
Mm-hmm.
So he actually like builds guitars and amps in his free time because he's literally, as I will reiterate, the coolest man to ever exist.
I know, jeez.
He just like, he's so cool. I wish he was on this podcast. He's such a king. But he basically like, I don't know, he always had guitars, so he would like let me borrow them and I would play, and I'm not great, but I get the job done.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I just kind of started writing, and then by the time I hit 11, I was like, I'm over this shit, man. Like, I'm too good for y'all. Like,
so you quit
I'm gonna go solo now.
You quit the band to go solo.
Oh yeah, you know. I was at that age. I was like ready to go.
So what kind of shows were you guys playing in, like from 11 to what? You said 13, 14?
Dude, it wasn't even like we would play like
your friends' houses and stuff.
Well, we were a part of this like band program called Brooklyn Kids Rock, which is now known as Brooklyn Music Factory.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, it's like this like program for kids, like gets them in bands and stuff.
That's awesome.
So it's not all like self-taught.
Yeah, that's
yeah,
a really
it was
cool
really
program.
cool. Like there's a couple chains of it now. I think there's also like School of Rock. Like there's a
they
bunch
have
of
a
them
School
in
of
the
Rock
city. It's like,
here in San Diego. I've heard of that. I've heard of that.
Oh, that's
one,
sick.
But,
I think there's a knockoff of this thing because I think Brooklyn Kids Rock was like the first in Brooklyn.
Probably, yeah.
But
because I think School of Rock probably came out after the movie.
Yeah, like that's also what I thought. I was like, because I just remember like being in BKR, that's what we called it,
Mm-hmm.
and like walking down the street after like a year and a half of being in it and seeing like the School of Rock building being like built down the block, and I was like, fuck these people. Like I was like, no, dude, absolutely not. But yeah, so they had connections at like venues. I think we were playing this venue called the Living Room. We were playing, oh God, a couple other venues. I'm sure they're not like open anymore, but I specifically remember the Living Room. We did like maybe 4 or 5 shows, and then I quit right before we were like supposed to go on Sesame Street. Like,
oh really,
bro?
Whoa.
Yeah, man.
You guys must have been pretty good.
Street. I was like, fuck y'all. I know we were not. We were just cute. Like we were just cute little kids, like in a band.
But wow.
And they were like, yo.
And it was all, you guys wrote your own songs and stuff?
Yeah, I wrote a lot of them. We would do, I think, 2 original songs and 1 cover, like every week or something.
Wow.
So I remember like always being super drawn to songwriting. Like it was always something I really, really like loved doing from a super young age, like from that time.
Like lyrics and everything. You'd write full songs?
Yeah. They wouldn't be like great, but they got the job done.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was something that I always did it though, like it was something that just taught me like the structure of how to write a song. But like I was always like making up shit when I was super young. I like my first memory is me like literally in my crib. I used to like wear this like tulle nightgown and like balling up the tulle into a microphone and pretending I was playing Madison Square Garden. Like that's like literally my first memory. I love it. Like I love songwriting. I always have. That's what I was born to do. Like I love it so much. I'm so passionate about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, I don't know. And then I when I was 11, I started teaching myself garage band, and that was when like Pitch Perfect was big.
Sure.
So I started doing like a cappella covers.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was really fun.
Kind of producing your own stuff on GarageBand.
Yeah, it was just, I was like a little kid. It was like playing a video. I wasn't allowed to play video games, so it was like a video game for me.
Yeah.
I had The Sims. That was it. But like you're not creating anything like that. I don't know. I've always been super drawn to like art and creating things, and I'm lucky enough that my parents are like super. Brooklyn Friends was really, really like my school that I went to was really just supportive of that. Like they were kind of like weirdly like a liberal arts lower and middle school, like art, focused. And my parents are both really, really into art too. So they were just like, go do your thing, express yourself. Like,
That's
life
cool.
is weird.
Yeah.
You know, sentience is a curse. Go, like, go have fun. So, you know, it was really fun, like teaching myself GarageBand. And then I found out about the MIDI function that you can, you know, it's not just like audio. Like you can like type on your keyboard and like make an accordion noise or some shit.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, game changer. So I started producing like actual noises. And then I started like making like actual produced out songs. And I was always like a theater kid. So I was in theater and like I was fucking around on GarageBand. And this one high schooler like walked up to me and was like, bro, like you should upload that onto SoundCloud. And I was like, what the fuck is SoundCloud? So that also changed my life as well. And I was like, I started like making beats too. And that was right when trap was like about to become mainstream, like right on the cusp of being mainstream, like 2014. And it was like really big on SoundCloud, like before everyone else knew about it.
Yeah.
So I was onto that shit. You know, I knew about Lil Peep and stuff when I was like 14. Yeah. Like I was out here. And I don't know, I started teaching myself that kind of stuff. And at the same time, I was like, okay, I made this goal for myself in my head. I was like, I'm going to be signed to a major label by the time I'm 15.
Wow.
And so I was like, how can I do that? And I was like, how does it happen in the movies? I'm just going to fucking street perform and see if anyone picks me up off the street.
Oh, so you'd like busk?
Yeah, I would busk all the time.
Oh,
I would
wow.
like, it got to the point when I hit high school that like I would like sneak out in the middle of the night just to street perform when like Soho House would let out, because I was like, that's where music industry people go, right?
Yeah.
Soho House.
Whoa, so you
Greg talks about it.
So you would leave, you would sneak out of your house
fully dipped,
by yourself at what, 13 years old?
Yeah, like an idiot.
In
like
the middle of
idiot.
Yeah, whoa. So
yeah.
Did you have to like get on the subway?
Yeah. I would perform on the train there. I would go to Soho House, like outside of Soho House. I would do like streets in Soho too, and I would also do Union Square.
Oh my gosh.
Union Square was a big spot for me, and that was like those were my spots. I would go there all the time. And in high school, like it became like a really bad, because I hit ninth grade and I was like, I hate it here. Like I was like, I fucking hate everyone here. I hate high school. I hate like the education system has never like agreed with me at all.
Yeah.
Like not to do like, I think education's so important, but it just like totally like it just didn't work with my brain. Like I've always gotten super bad grades.
Everybody learns that. I mean, my son's we put him in homeschool because I'm like the regular school just wasn't doing it for us. Yeah,
exactly. Like that's, you know, so I was like in this school and like, you know, nobody really got what I was trying to do, and everyone was like super mean, and I was like, fuck this, dude. Like, I want to just do my thing. So I was like producing in class, and I wouldn't like pay attention at all, and I'd be super sleep deprived because like at night I'd be like staying out all fucking night, like just trying so hard to get discovered by anyone.
Did your parents ever catch you?
No, weirdly. I'm like, what? No. I told them later, and they were like, what? And I was like, dude, what the fuck? Like, y'all. But also, like, I have a fire escape outside of my window.
Oh.
So it was really,
easy.
really easy for me to just do that. Like, I just send it all the way to Manhattan.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, that was a really cool time of like exploration. And then eventually I got asked to leave that school in ninth grade because I really wasn't doing my work.
You got asked to leave?
Yeah, they were like, you gotta get your shit together, like shape up or ship out, bitch. And I was like, all right, I'm out. I was like, fuck this, I'm going.
Oh, man.
So I left.
Well, you said you were producing in the class. Did you just bring your laptop?
Yeah, well, you know, like we were supposed to like take notes on our laptop, and I would just like put in headphones
and just have like GarageBand.
I would just like and just like fuck around, and I would like put out like a song a week. You know, that was my thing. I'd put out a song a week, and I'd also be like selling beats on the side. And you know, I was also like kind of making money from busking, so I had my own funds happening. And
Yeah, your own little enterprise.
yeah, my mindset has always been, if you can't do it yourself, like, you shouldn't be fucking doing it, you know? Like,
Yeah.
so I just, you know, I taught myself like everything. I made all my own album covers up until this year.
Wow.
You know, like, I just edited my own music video and shot it. Like, I love being creative. It's my passion, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So anything creative, I'm fucking down, dude. Like, it's my shit. So it was really at that time that I really honed my shit, though. And nobody gave a shit for months. Nobody gave a shit about my music. And I remember when I was 14, I got kicked out of the school. I went to this other school for 2 weeks, and then they asked me to leave. And I was just such like a wreck. Like, I'd been bullied really badly for a lot of the time I went to that school.
Yeah.
And I was like, my self-esteem was so bad. And I was always this like super straight-laced kid. And, you know, it's New York. It's really easy to just get into drugs. So I was like, fuck it, I'm not in school. And how else am I going to make friends? Might as well smoke weed and like start experimenting with that. So I at 14 was just like hella like into drugs, which was like pretty scary. And, you know, around that time I was still making music. And I was putting out all this stuff on SoundCloud, and nobody gave a shit. And so finally I'm like working. It was a full circle moment. I was working at Brooklyn Music Factory as like a camp counselor. I was like a little high on weed. Like I had taken an edible, and I get a call from my dad, and he's like, bro, leave work right now. And I was like, this motherfucker is going to send me to rehab.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm like, fuck, dude. So I like,
what did he find?
I like tell my boss, I'm like, I have to go. I'm like, I have to go, dude. So I like leave. My boss is like, okay, bitch. Like, all right. So I did. I go home, take a cold shower. I go meet my dad at J Street, Metro Tech in Brooklyn. And I'm like super high at this point. I'd taken an edible. I'm like out of it. And he's like, hey. And I was like, hey, what's up? And he was like, there's this guy that like heard your music and wants to meet you. And I was like, who is he? And he was like, I honestly don't know. Like, he just emailed me. And so we go to the storage place, and this like kind of crazed looking like man rolls up on a city bike, and he's like, hey kid, like, I love your music. Like, I heard it, you know, like, your stuff is sick. And I was like, okay, who the fuck? And so he takes us into the storage unit, and I'm like, dude, like, this man is going to fucking take I'm going to leave today with no kidneys. Like, it's over for me. Like, this is done. And I'm so paranoid and so high. And he like opens this door, and there's a studio, like a full studio. And I had no idea, like, I'd never even been inside a studio. I like freaked out. And there's these two producers, and this girl walked out of the booth. She like had this like Chainsmokers hit. Her name's Roses that year, and like there are these two producers, and the first producers I ever, like, real producers I ever met, and I was like so starstruck by them and like by the studio, and I was just like shook because it was the last thing and they started interviewing me. They were like, who are your influences? I was like, Moldy Peaches. At the time it was like so Moldy Peaches, like, so like, I don't know who else, like MGMT, like Childish Gambino, like,
yeah, love him.
I was so, yeah, especially because he like started off at NYU, like producing his own stuff in his dorm. Like, that's like, I really identified with that, and that inspired me so much.
Oh, really? So
and also like Odd Future.
Okay, yeah.
Like, Odd Future really inspired me too. Because you know, Tyler like produces all his own stuff too. So you know, I was shook, and so Jake like brings me downstairs. It's the guy. He brings me downstairs, the like crazed looking guy, and he's like, do you know who I am? And I was like, no. And he was like, I'm the senior vice president of, at the time it was Warner Chappell Publishing. And I've heard your stuff through like a network of parents at your old school, which was like so random and crazy. And he was like, I want to work with you. And I was like, holy shit. And he was like, but you have to sober up if we're going to work together. And I was like, fuck. My dad was like, yeah, bitch. And so I was like, ah. And so I then started a very long journey of trying to sober up. It took a minute. But then, we started working together, and he started like pulling favors at Warner Chappell, just kind of, being like, I was 14. So, and like literally no one knew who the fuck I was. I had like 50 followers on Instagram. And, he started like asking all these producers, like, will you work with this kid? Will you work with this kid? And everyone was like, fuck no, dude. Who the fuck is she? No, like what? And so, finally this guy, Bobby, he agreed to work with me. We started writing music together, and I was working at a Warner Chappell, and I was so like eternally grateful. I still am. And like, Bobby really taught me how to like be a recording artist. Like he would we would go in, I would write a song. I had this thing with myself until I was 17. I would write 3 songs a day. Even if they were shitty, like I would just write like 3 like shitty pop songs a day.
Really?
About anything.
Wow. That's a cool
I wanted to get like, it's like, it's good practice, you know?
Sure, yeah.
So, anyway, I would come in with some songs, and he would choose which one he wanted to work on. And, then we would produce it out in like probably like 3 hours, and then we'd sit in this, it was like a converted like Wiz Khalifa merch room into a studio in Warner Chappell before they renovated now, and now it's all like bougie and cute, but like it was pretty gross. But we would like order Wendy's and like sit and just like shoot the shit for like 6 hours. And he was just so kind to me and like so great. And he produced like my first 2 singles, Reckless and Thread. And that was really like, I love Bobby. I'll always love him. He's just so great. And so Jake started kind of guiding me in the industry, and really, really has given me so many fantastic, amazing opportunities, and has been such a great mentor for me. And he's very big on tough love. So we've had our ups and downs, but he's the reason I'm signed to RCA now.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, he's the SVP of A&R there now.
Wow.
And I'm really so lucky that I met him. Like it was like, it wasn't like I worked for it. Like I worked super hard for it, but I'm so lucky to have Jake in my life. Like he basically, he started developing me when I was 14. And then when I was 15 or 16, he signed me to Slumbo, his like kind of his studio label of that like storage unit studio.
Yeah.
He has a couple of artists on there, and, I released Summer under that label.
I was going to ask. Okay. So you did put out music through that label also.
Oh yeah. Yeah. My first couple singles I did.
Okay.
And yeah, I put out Summer, and, he had just started working at RCA, and Summer was about my DIY scene for him, and like that whole summer for me, and how fucking awesome it was. And I'd gotten better at performing, and I'd kind of gotten my sea legs in the industry a little bit. And Jake was like, why don't you come by RCA and just like play like 3 songs for us? And I'm like playing the piano and stuff. I'm playing like Jesus Couldn't Love Me, which is one of my songs. And I'm playing, I'm just fucking around. And my dad's there. My dad's like all proud. He's like, look at my child. Like at RCA. It's so crazy. I was freaking the fuck out.
I was going to ask you, like, was that pretty intimidating going in there and playing those songs?
It's never been intimidating. It's always just been like so exciting. Okay. Like it's like executives don't really intimidate me. They're just like passionate about music, like they're into music. We have like something in common. That's so cool,
Yeah.
Like, and we all want the same shit. We just want to make good music and like make some money,
Yeah.
like make some art, make some money. There's nothing wrong with that. So like, I was just excited to be there, like I was just like, hell yeah. And then I hear like the door close, and Peter Edge and Keith end up like walking in because they just like heard music, and I ended up like talking with them for like 2 hours. And like, as I said, like nobody knew who the fuck I was. Like I was like, I'd maybe at that point had like 150K monthly streams on like Spotify. Like, I was a really small artist,
That's
and
still
they
good.
took a chance on me. It was great, but it's, you know, it's RCA. They're like a major label.
Right,
like,
totally.
And I was like, I didn't have like a pop-in social. You know what I mean? Like,
totally.
it's, you know, they had like SZA. Like, and I'm like,
right.
I'm not SZA yet. Like, you know, so they like interviewed me for like 2 hours, and then, you know, I got a contract like a month later, and, you know, my lawyers looked over it, and then I signed when I was like 17, I think. And it's been a journey. I love them so much. I'm so lucky to be on such a great label.
Yeah.
They're really fantastic.
That's great.
Yeah, I kind of missed my initial goal of getting signed at 15, but I think 16, 17 is like pretty.
That's pretty incredible. Let's be real.
Thanks, man. I'm really lucky.
How many 16-year-olds are signed to a major label? Not many.
That's true.
Yeah.
I'm really grateful and super lucky. I still like, I wake up every day and I'm like, I literally can't believe this is my life, and like, this is how I'm living. Like, that's so crazy.
Yeah. So from there, when you get sent to RCA, you put out Manic Pixie Dream. That was your first EP?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And that's the EP that had Reckless on it, right? The one that song that really blew up for you?
Reckless wasn't on that. It was more, I think it was Summer.
Oh yeah, Summer. Sorry, Summer's the one. Yeah, that had over had like 3 million streams on Spotify and stuff. That just went crazy.
It was really crazy because I put that out on Stormbone, and they were like, we need that record on Manic Pixie Dream.
Oh really? So you had So you had already put it out, and then you just they just took it over and put it out on the EP.
Yeah, they were like, we're gonna put this out on the EP and see how it does, and now it's at like 10 million streams, which is insane.
Yeah.
Like, people really like that song. It was one of those songs that it came to, like, I wrote it with my friend Sean Kennedy, and she's also like a really great artist. And like, it literally we just met, and it took us like 10 minutes to write.
Wow.
It was just one of those songs that was just like really fun to make, and we just like couldn't stop listening to it, and we were having such a good time making it. And I think it really shows in the song. You can just hear it. But yeah, I mean, Manic Pixie Dream was really about like growing up in New York, and you know, how hard that was for me, like being a young woman growing up in New York, especially with the hookup culture.
Oh, sure.
And like, yeah, it was just like as awesome as it was growing up in New York, and I'm so grateful for it. And everything I said before about growing up in New York, there were also like a lot of downsides to it. And, you know, like, I feel like it really made me grow up super fast. And also, like, I don't know, like struggling with drug addiction in high school was really, really, really hard. It was really hard to get out of that because there's just so many, like, drugs are like everywhere in New York. Like, it's like so a part of the history here, and it's a part of the youth culture, and, you know, it's everywhere. But, you know, New York doesn't hide it, you know, like, it is what it is.
Right.
Well, it's just like, people are more open about it. They're just like, this is what I'm doing. Like, it is what it is.
Right.
And like, that's great. I'm glad that they come by it, honestly, but it's more of like, it was just really hard to stop, like, and get out of that, because I have a particularly addictive personality. So it was really hard for me to just like break that cycle for myself. And also just like, I don't know, like becoming a self-aware human being was just particularly hard for me because, you know, we live in such a crazy time right now.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I think I would consider myself an old soul. I think, because I think my generation has really lost touch. Hopefully, honestly, maybe if there's any good silver lining for this pandemic, maybe it'll make people appreciate connection more.
Yeah.
Because my generation is just has this like reputation and like this weird culture of like being so emotionally detached. I don't know if it's because of the internet or what, but it's like I'm someone that really, really values like genuine connection and like genuine, like just like like being genuine and being honest with people. And that's why it was like super hard for me to like meet people my own age and like really vibe with people my own age, was because like everyone just thought I was like way too intense all the time. And like, they were like, whoa, like chill. And I was like, no, I just want to like talk about life.
Yeah.
And like, they were like, no, bitch, no, let me do my band. Like, you know, so that's a lot of, you know, what that EP was about too. And I also co-produced a lot of the songs on there. So it's just, you know, it's a really like, it's a really special EP to me.
Yeah.
I'm really grateful that RCA gave me so much. I also made the album cover. Like they just gave me so much freedom.
That's cool. So you got to make you created the album cover for it as well?
Yeah, man.
Wow.
And I like, as I said, they let me like co-produce. Like they really let me, they're really great with that kind of stuff. Cause RCA is, you know, they're one of the only major labels left with an entire arts department. Like they have a whole floor dedicated to like art, which I think is just so cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And that was like a big reason why I signed with them. Yeah, there's a big reason why shout out the art department. I love those motherfuckers. They're so great. Like they're so sweet, man. And they just like get it. And like they're so like, also, I feel like RCA is just one of those labels that like really values like their artists and art and like the content of like, you know, just like the real raw art. Like I feel like they have the Strokes. They have like all these bands that are like so like raw and intense, and like I don't know. I just like, they have Childish Gambino, who I love too, and they're, you know, they just like, I don't know, they just really care. And I'm really lucky to be on such a great label.
Yeah. And you have your second EP is coming out as well, right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Tell me about Obvious, the first single.
Obvious is about, so this next EP, it's called Douchebag, and it should be dropping. It's like,
is that really what it's called?
Yeah, come on, man.
Oh my,
yeah,
that's
man.
awesome.
It's called Douchebag. Yeah, thank you. I think it's awesome too. We were gonna name it Stick and Poke, but then there's like a lot of like entendres that I just didn't want to deal with. That like go with that name.
What was it? I didn't.
So,
what was the second name?
Stick and Poke. It's like a
Stick
tattoo
and Poke. Gotcha.
kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like it was my old product manager Nick was like, dude, we can't have the name do that. You're gonna get clowned. And I was like, shit, you're right. And so, you know, one of the songs that's on it is called Douchebag. And so I just thought it would be like a sick name. But anyway, it's really that EP is about kind of like, I don't know. It's a lot about, you know, me kind of coming into my own as a woman. And I had my like first kind of relationship when I was like 17. So this time last year, and it was horrible. And, you know, Obvious is about that relationship. Because I was like seeing this guy that was really like neglectful and didn't really like give a shit about me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was like, and it really like, and it perplexed me because I was like, why aren't you making it like, I feel like if you like someone, like, why are you staying with me if you're not making it obvious that I'm like a valued part of your life?
Yeah, he wasn't making you a
and
priority.
I remember going and yeah, and it was really like profoundly hurtful for me. And so, you know, like I wrote Obvious because I was talking to my friend Remy, who I wrote it with, and I was like telling him about the story, and he was like, bro, like, why isn't this man making it obvious that he fucked with you? Like, that's so fucked up. Like, you deserve someone that's gonna like really show you off. And I wanted to like convey that message in Obvious because I feel like that's a problem that happens with a lot of like people. You know, you kind of like, for me at least, like I kind of gravitate towards people that like at this age, at least, like don't necessarily like value me that much, or I have in the past. And I just don't want, I want to empower my fans to not repeat that mistake that I've made of like hanging out with people that, you know, I'll put it like this, like your energy is your own currency and where you spend it is really, really important. And I was spending my currency in all the wrong places. And I want to make sure my fans are empowered enough to not repeat that. And also know that they're not alone if they are experiencing that.
Wow. Yeah.
So Obvious was really about like a neglectful relationship. And the EP as a whole is just really about kind of like half that relationship and half kind of, you know, it's about that concept of like your energy is your currency and like you got to empower yourself and realize that you don't spend it in the wrong places. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love that. I've never heard that before. I think that's a really cool analogy.
Dude, I saw it. My friend Isaac Dunbar, he's like a really cool artist. Mm-hmm. He said it and it really resonated with me.
Yeah. I like that.
And I just like, you know, it's like me too. I was like, wow, king. Yeah. Like that's how it is, bro. like it's really important to realize that like your time and you have to empower yourself and you have to put that love into yourself. And if you're spending it in the wrong places, one day you're going to be broke. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, you know, it's also, you know, a lot of the songs on the EP are about friendship and heartbreak and friendship, which is something I experienced a lot as a 17-year-old, but throughout high school too, is like, you know, your relationships and your friendships are so intense at that age. Mm-hmm. They're really formative years. And
yeah, totally.
So a lot of them are about, you know, friendship falling out. A lot of the songs on the EP are about that mm-hmm. and about betrayal. But also like I like to put like, you know, to put the DIY perspective back into it. Uh-huh. I want to make those songs fun because like I want to twist it kind of and make it like, fuck that. This should be fun. Yeah. Let's dance. Let's mosh to the sadness. Like,
let's mosh to the sadness. I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah, man. It's true. That's how it is.
That's cool. That's
so
fun.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm really excited to put it out. I'm really, really, this is the most passionate I've been about any project I've ever made.
Wow. Well, I'm really excited to hear it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to put it out.
So tell me a little bit about, you did some tours. You toured with like Tessa Violet.
Love her.
Yeah, I've had her on here too as well, I love her. She's great.
She's so great.
Yeah.
She's such a lovely person.
Yeah.
I love her.
So you were so tell me about the first tour you did.
Well, first tour I ever did was I opened for 2 dates for Rejjie Snow.
Okay.
Who's this Scottish rapper. Mm-hmm. And that was fucking awesome. Like I had such a good time because it's also just like such an unexpected demographic. I think for me was like just these like I played the Bowery Ballroom, which is like my favorite venue, and just these like super like intense like rap kids. Like he's like a very respected rapper.
Yeah.
And so I come on stage with my like at the time I was playing with like a guitar and an iPad and like no one else. Like it was me on stage. And I was just like, yeah. And my friends like came through and they all like pushed their way to the front. All these like backpack kids with like the beats around their heads. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like snapbacks and shit. They're just like, who the fuck is this bitch? And I just like go on stage and I'm like, hey! I'm just like ready to fucking go. I'm like, let's have some fun. And like my friends are in the audience like, yeah! Like it was so sick. And then my mom drove me up to Connecticut and it was a very bad idea because we just got into a fight like before I went on stage. Uh-huh. But it was a really fun show. And then she drove me back.
Was that the first time you played out in New York?
Yeah, man. And it was a horrible first experience, let me tell you. But the audience was great. It was just because, you know, my mom and I in a car, it's going to get deep. It's just going to get deep, whether it's for better or for worse, you know? My mom and I are both very intense New York Jews. It's just going to happen, you know? It's an inevitable situation. So, yeah, I don't know. It was, but the first like real tour with like dates I went on was Charlotte Lawrence when I was 16, maybe 17, like early. Yeah, it was like November 2018 and I toured with Charlotte and she was so kind. Like, you low-key like wouldn't expect it from someone that's like a model and like like, she's just like so pretty and like so talented.
Mm-hmm.
But like, she was so cool, dude. Like, I played like Atlanta. I played a couple. I'm kind of blanking on where exactly, but I did 6 dates. And it was the most. It was me, my old manager, and my tour manager in like a Subaru.
Oh
And
my
like,
gosh.
we just we were just following her bus, and we were having so much fun. And like, Charlotte Lawrence's demographic is so sweet and great, and like, I had so many weird experiences. But yeah, I toured with Tessa over the summer, and that was super, super, super sick. Like, one of the happiest memories I have is to date is touring with Tessa. She is such a lovely person.
Oh,
I'm
really?
so lucky to know her.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah,
I thought
we
she was
bonded,
so.
man.
Yeah, she was such a nice person when we had a chat with her.
She's so nice. She is such a nice, like, every time I see her, I'm just so happy she's there. Like, she's just like such a like warm presence. And like, then I recently I toured with mxmtoon.
Oh, cool.
And same vibe, like same vibe. I literally love her. Like, she is so sick. Like, such a sweet woman. Really lucky to be on that tour, and it was like all sold out. And that was kind of my first experience with like a sold out. Like, mxmtoon has like stands, man, and I like Tessa does too. But like, it was like a different vibe, you know. Like, I was like, oh my god, it was more of like the TikTok kids.
Mm-hmm.
That are like in middle school kind of.
Oh yeah.
And who I love that vibe. The crackhead energy was through the roof, man. Like, it was so sick. I had so much fun, and like, dude, I got so many scrunchies. Like, people just throw scrunchies at me on stage.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I don't know. It was super fun. And then I toured with Role Model too. I did 2 dates in November with Role Model, and I love his music, and his demographic is fucking sick.
Mm-hmm.
All kind of like girls my age, which I love. I love meeting kids my age on tour. I'm like, yeah, you and me, man. Like, yes. So that was really fun too. And Tucker's just so like talented and such a chill guy.
Uh-huh.
So I love touring. It's like my favorite thing ever. I fucking love it. I'm so bummed that I can't do it right now.
I know. I was gonna say, since everything's on pause right now, you probably if you had stuff, you had to reschedule it and stuff.
I'm so bummed. Oh yeah, it's been quite whack, but it's okay. You know what? We're pulling through.
Yeah.
I'm doing like live shows on my Instagram all the time.
Oh, you
so
are? I was going to ask about that. I
and
love that. I love watching those.
yeah, it's not like a real. I have to like get my setup together, actually, like a real setup,
Mhm.
but because I don't know how long this shit's gonna last.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, so might as well. But it's pretty much just in like acoustic performances, which I love that, because all I've been doing is like in ears, and like I have my guitar player Marty now, who I love, and he's so great. But I kind of miss it just being me sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
So it feels more personal that way. So it's been really fun, actually.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'll have to. I'm gonna check those out for
Yeah.
sure. Are you doing them like regularly, or they're just kind of sporadic?
Yeah, it's kind of sporadic. I should do a more consistent one. I'm gonna start working on that. I just have to like get my live setup together and like figure out how to do it myself.
Yeah. Right. On.
But as I've been said, I have no issue with DIY shit. So I'm into it.
Yeah. Totally.
I'm with it, man. I'm into it.
Well, Chloe, thank you so much for sharing your pretty much your life story with me. I appreciate it.
Oh, dude. Thanks for having me. I'm sorry if I rambled a bit.
No,
man.
not at all. I have another question for you if you have a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to know if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
Oh, yeah, man. I'd say like learn everything you can, and music should be fun. And if people are making fun of you for expressing yourself and making art, they're stupid. Don't listen to them. But also, you know, like, do as much as you can yourself. And that's my biggest advice. It's just like, as long as you're staying genuine to yourself and doing stuff yourself and you're working hard and you're being consistent, I feel like there's no way you can go wrong. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Also, 3 songs a day helps. 3 songs a day really helps with songwriting. So I'd say, honestly, and if you want to get into songwriting, start creative writing. That's how I started. I started by like writing short stories, and then I don't know, like poetry, and then it kind of led into songwriting. So that's my suggestion as well. And read a lot.